crap, garbage, MTV, sophomore crap, E-Network. Gah! Remember there was a time when there was actually stuff worth watching on this thing? You ever gonna get out of this room and do something like, shower? Take it from another species. Humans who don't bathe are no fun to be around. You got anything important to tell me or what? Well, while you've been sitting around grumbling, our recon tells us that Professor Stupidiot might actually have a new weapon of doom being developed. And oh yeah, your buddy, the last of the Americans, wanted you to know that the sword is in play and the wicked has been unleashed. Fine, you've covered your ass. Can I get back to losing my faith in humanity? What's your problem anyway? I mean, it's not like that show was that much worse than that last thing that got you into such a funk. Brickleberry may have been the absolute worst, but nowadays everyone's just throwing in the towel and not even trying. And sitting around in that chair bitching's gonna make things better? No, I guess not. But I gotta vent these frustrations somehow. And I guess there's only one way to do it. Now, I've primarily focused on television series, movies, and episodes, calling out the worst of them for their badness. But of course, there's one aspect of the medium that has mostly escaped my direct wrath until now. Yes, commercials are essentially the necessary evil of television, as even in an age of rising cable and satellite fees, advertising is still essential to producing revenue, whether we want to see it or not. But of course, there can be instances where commercials can be endearing and even enjoyable. Budweiser, for example, launched a cult classic involving a trio of frogs that croaked out the product's syllables that eventually turned into a full-on saga involving a couple of iguanas that wanted to off them. And it actually became compelling as to where the next chapter in that series would go. Unfortunately, interspersed with those bits of entertainment have been a lot of really bad stuff coming from the darkest depths of an ad agent's mind. And I'm here to bring you some of the absolute worst horrors of that. These are my picks for the 10 worst television commercials.
And now, these messages.
Number 10. Mentos. This one, I admit it's on the list solely by popular demand. I gotta confess, I never really got the hate for these ads. Is it that the tune is annoying? Or is it that they thought the scenarios posted in them were ridiculous and unbelievable?
Nothing gets to you, staying fresh, staying cool, with Mentos fresh and full of life. Fresh goes better with Mentos fresh. Fresh goes better with Mentos fresh and full of life.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
Maybe the latter was true, but I think I understand what they were going for. It was about trying to make the best of a bad situation, and how the freshness of a Mentos could refresh your mind into figuring that out. Yeah, it's pretty corny and nonsensical, but I've seen worse in a commercial. And personally, I thought the next series of ads they came up with were the really dumb ones.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
Still, yeah, these were ridiculed by a bunch of people, so I'll throw them a bone and give them this one. Although it's still not as dumb as all those people who try to experiment with Mentos and Diet Coke. No, I'm not showing clips. Why should I give any of those jackasses any more pub? Number 9. McDonald's in the 1984 Olympics. This one is near the bottom of the list because it's not so much on here for the ads themselves, but the disaster that was the marketing campaign itself. Remember the Simpsons episode Lisa's First Word and the debacle Krusty's Burger chain had with its 84 Olympic promotion? Yeah, that wasn't just a made-up gag. That actually happened to the Golden Arches. With the 84 Summer Games taking place in Los Angeles, Mickey D's went all out with its patriotism, going with a promotion where customers could win free Big Macs, fries, or drinks depending on any medals an American won in the games. Now, I'm guessing they didn't do exactly what Krusty did and loaded the events with only events that communists always won. But they were stupid enough to not guess that those same commies would boycott the games in retaliation for us doing so in 1980. The Soviets and East Germans did stay home, the Americans dominated the games, and McDonald's paid big time. There were rumors that some locations ran out of Big Macs from having to give away so many for nothing. But the big question has to be, did the CEO of McDonald's spit in every 50th Big Mac?
The world may never know.
Number 8. FreeCreditReport.com. Here's another one that admittedly makes the list for the product it's shilling rather than the content of the ad itself. Although those jingles the guy sings are bad enough to make me almost want to listen to Alanis Morissette by comparison.
It's all because some hacker stole my identity. Now I'm in here every evening serving chowder and iced tea. Should have gone to freecreditreport.com. I could have seen this coming at me like an atom bomb.
So what exactly is the problem with what these commercials are selling? It's a scam! The ads are promoting a website where you can supposedly sign up to get a report on your credit rating for free. What they don't tell you is that the free credit report they're offering is the one annual free report that everyone is entitled to by federal law. And that by getting the report via their site, you automatically sign up to get a credit report from them every month and be charged for it, unless you know to log back on and cancel. It's one of the most despicable forms of shady advertising I've seen in years, and sadly, they get away with it in this day and age of no regulation. And yes, there were more sites like this using these same tactics, but I'm going with this one because it became the most prominent, likely because of those stupid jingles.
FreeCreditReport.com. Tell your friends, tell your dad, tell your mom.
There are places you can go to truly get your free annual credit report, so if you need to see it, do your homework, people. And if any of you did get trapped by this, well, just imagine smashing this guy's loot over his head. Number 7. I'm just gonna let this one speak for itself.
Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on. Available at Walgreens.
How about I apply this directly to your forehead instead? This one is made near the top of a few other people's lists of worst commercials, but that's not why I knew it had to make mine. No, that's because this reminded me of the worst commercial that I couldn't put on the list. A radio ad from the early 90s for the original nicotine patch Nicoderm. I couldn't find footage of those old ads anywhere, but trust me, all they were these monotone voices saying over and over, Nicoderm, it's a patch! Nicoderm, it's a patch! Nicoderm, it's a patch! Ask your doctor about it! Those things were so bad that there were radio DJs actually warning listeners in advance that an ad was coming. So yeah, Head On, thanks for bringing back those memories. You suck. Number 6. Anything with a talking baby.
Talking baby commercial?
Talking baby commercial.
Yeah, I think we're all gonna agree with Robin on this one. I touched on my dislike for this trend back in my review of the Marvin animated special, but when you use live-action infants and give them these fully eloquent adult voices to shill things like Quiznos subs or E-Trade, something just seems wrong about it. But the absolute creepiest and most wrong one? Using a baby with a beard to sell men's hair dye! I mean, what kind of creepy fetish does the guy who came up with this have? We all know what the point of selling this product is. Sex appeal! That's why men dye their hair! What if they had used a baby girl to sell cosmetics? The ad agents would likely be thrown in prison! But yeah, overall, in most cases, babies talking to shill your products, creepy and disturbing on so many levels. Number 5. The Quiznos rodents. Yeah, Quiznos doesn't exactly have a good track record with its ad campaigns, does it? The talking baby ads were bad enough, but then they followed that up with these commercials featuring... What are those things anyway? Sponge monkeys? Like that makes them any more endearing! And then they start singing about Quiznos subs and what I think is supposed to be a type of Tejano music.
The Quiznos subs! They are tasty, they are crunchy, they are warm because they toast them! They got a pepper bar!
Well, whatever type of music it's supposed to be, that ain't it! The voices are horrid, the lyrics don't rhyme, watching their eyes bug in and out like that is nightmare-inducing!
80 coupon box! Beware of paper cuts!
So your ads have a couple of things that look like what clogs your drain, making bad songs about your product. Yeah, I'm sure that sold a lot of sandwiches. Did Subway ever send you guys a thank you note? Number 4. Windows Mojave. Here is Exhibit A on how to not treat your customer base. After the disaster with Windows Vista that had several people complaining about its performance, Microsoft's response was a series of commercials announcing the supposed release of its next system, Windows Mojave. It showed the system to numerous people that were not paid actors, yeah right, and once the people declared how much better the system was, they were told, surprise, surprise, it was Vista all along. What the ads were basically saying was, all the problems Vista had was solely the fault of the consumers, and they just needed to open up their closed minds about it. Even if that's true, you don't go out and say it in a television ad. Make up some crap about how you fix the problems, and there were problems, just mainly with the drivers, and tell them it's a new, improved version of the original. Ever heard about the customer always being right? Not surprisingly, the consumers were not pleased with this attempt by Microsoft to pass the buck. And it became just the latest, biggest stain on the computer behemoth's extremely poor track record of pleasing its customers. Number 3. The Snickers Sharks! Good freaking night! Who thought this was a good idea? In 2011, M&M Mars created Snickers Squares, meant to be their counterpart to Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. To promote them, they created this series of commercials about focus groups of great white sharks who said that humans who ate Snickers Squares tasted better than those who ate Reese's.
With Lisa, I only tasted peanut butter and chocolate.
Lisa had just eaten a peanut butter cup.
But with Steve, I tasted something more. It was peanut butter and Snickers.
That's right, folks! Be sure to eat Snickers Squares so Jaws will have a tastier meal if you fall overboard! It's one of the biggest what the hell were they thinking cases I ever saw from the moment these commercials first tormented my eyes. I haven't met anyone who didn't say this was one of the worst ad campaigns they ever saw. Thankfully, Butterfinger didn't try a similar tactic when they recently released their peanut butter cups and saying how it made campers much more tastier for grizzly bears. Oh, good God, they're gonna make one now and have it star Malloy from Brickleberry, aren't they? Number 2. Enzyte Smilin' Bob. There might not be a creepier set of commercials ever made. Yes, even after the Quiznos rodents and the talking babies, this tops them. A series of ads for the Enzyte pill for natural male enhancement, focusing on this one guy walking around everywhere with the biggest, dopiest grin on his face to indicate that Enzyte made his wiener bigger and thus made him a better man. It's not just the issue of how the spokesman looks like something out of the Stepford Husbands, but about the message it's sending. I will not deny the reality that women endure much more criticism about their appearances and what is deemed appropriate for the standards of beauty in our society. But if you ever think that men don't have to deal with it at all, I point you toward these ads, which are basically telling you that you have to take their drugs to get yourself a bigger, better hard-on in order to be more confident in yourself, because without it, you aren't pleasing your woman. It's the male equivalent of pressuring women to get boob jobs, only instead of showing off bimbos with lots of cleavage, we get this guy with the absolute creepiest grin in the world. There is a happy ending to this, though. In 2008, the founder of Enzyte's parent company, Steve Warshak, got 25 years in prison for his preying on males with confidence issues and tricking them into buying a renewal program, much like the free credit report scam. So yeah, this ad turns out to have been a mix of so many of our previous entries' problems into one, and it makes you just want to deliver one big swift kick to Smilin' Bob's new enhanced jewels. When I first thought up the idea for this list, I was sure Smiling Bob would be at the top of it, no doubt. But no. I found something even worse. And the #1 worst television commercial is Porter Stansberry's New America. No commercial that I have ever seen on television has filled me with more rage than when I saw this desecrate the airwaves, because as vague as its message is in the actual ad itself, I know exactly what it was about thanks to having heard about this crook before. For those who don't know, Porter Stansberry is an investment con man who has been penalized by the SEC for fraudulent investor tips. Recently, though, he's developed a new scheme that's made its way all the way up through the advertising ranks into the television realm. Basically, his purpose is scaring people into thinking the entire United States is going to collapse this year. And by that, I mean he's been saying this year for at least 3 years now. And he'll tell you the guaranteed secret to surviving the apocalypse as long as you subscribe to his newsletter. And of course, the secret is all just in a pamphlet that tells you to invest in gold and buy a farm. This scam originally started on Google ads, which included them actually being seen on that guy with the glasses. Because, you know, internet geeks have the type of money to do that stuff. Stansberry then moved up to radio ads that were mostly on in late night hours before finally, yes, television ads. I was going to ignore these ads as long as they were airing on the likes of CNN and Fox News, but I had no choice but to acknowledge them when I saw one such commercial airing on ESPN. All you need to know about how much of a fraud this guy is that his website has had its actual domain name changed more times than WikiLeaks. And the worst thing is that this gradual advance in advertising proves he's making money scamming people, giving him more and more resources for better advertising, as evidenced earlier this year when he posted an ad in USA Today. All for nothing more than a scam perpetrated on propaganda, and that is why, hands down, it is the absolute worst commercial I have ever seen on television. Shilling a product with a bad gimmick is one thing, but people who try to profit off of their own propaganda machine in the hopes that others will cause a panic and riot is beyond the lowest of the low. I'm willing to bet that this bastard will never see my show, but if he does, I have one thing to say. Porter Stansberry, rot in